Good morning. My name is Josh Rivers. I'm the creator and host of the award-winning podcast, Busy Being Black, which centers and celebrates queer Black liveliness. I am the host of The Stage today. Forgot the name of the stage for a second. And I am delighted to see you. It's a really great crowd. I was singing Rihanna, but you didn't have your headphones on in time, so you missed it. Bitch, better have to have a conversation with us about the ways Black founders are overlooked by funders, are four amazing people who are doing incredible work supporting Black entrepreneurs and startups to raise the money they need to succeed. So please welcome to the stage Seven Jacobs from Color and Tech, Andy Davis from 1010 Capital, Abby Mohammed from Head, I can't see the surname, can't see where she works, and Richard Cummings, who I also can't see where he works. Thank you, guys.
Good morning, everyone. All right. We're going to start with some quick intros, and then we're going to play a 5-minute clip for you, actually. And we'll explain what that is in a sec. Great to see you all, a couple familiar faces and a lot of new people. Welcome. My name is Seven. I'm the startup lead at Color and Tech, the nonprofit that also puts on BTF. So it's great to see you all. I'm moderating the panel. I'll let the incredible panelists introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name's Abby Mohammed and I'm the head of marketing and business at Extend Ventures. I recently joined, so we help showcase how much venture capital goes to founders across the UK. And then previously I used to work at Tech Nation, where I helped scale entrepreneurs all the way from pre-seed to IPO and being acquired and all of that.
Hey all, morning, good to see you all. My name's Andy Davis, ex-founder, B2B healthcare. Just was a founder almost my whole life. Started investing as a VC, set up a VC fund, invest in diverse founders in the UK, but a US VC fund here with 2 other people called Backstage Capital. We invested in 5 Black founders based here, one on the continent in Africa, and then a bunch in the US with the US team. I've been angel investing since, now setting up a new fund, 10x10 Capital, to invest in Black founders before the market knows they exist. And I run a group of Europe's Black VCs as well, so I guess ex-founder, community person. I try to be helpful to the Black community widely as well, and investor. Hey.
Hi everyone, my name is Richard Cummings, investor as well, angel investor, advisor to a few tech startups, a member of the Black Angel Group. I'm the exec producer of the documentary clip that you're going to see in a second.
Do you want to give a quick overview of what that is about?
Yeah, sure. So the documentary has basically been produced to showcase and highlight the experience of Black founders, both from a data standpoint. You're leveraging Extend Ventures data points and the Black Report, which Andy Davis wrote in collaboration with Google. And it just speaks about the community operators that play in the ecosystem and the way in which we can inspire the next generation of Black founders.
Amazing. So we're going to play a 5-minute clip for you. So when we're ready, we can roll clip. It should come up on the screen.
I speak to Black founders every day, and they always feel like they're alone in their problems and in their stories. So here was a way to show in numbers who we are and how great we are as Black founders and Black people in entrepreneurship.
I believe that we still have fantastic ideas and that we can build unicorns too, and that we should be given the opportunities that our peers are being given.
"2019 was a record year for UK venture capital, with more than $13.2 billion invested in startups across the nation. Historically, funding for Black and multi-ethnic founders has paled in comparison to that of founders from majority groups. But what is the extent of the UK funding gap? Eric Collins, CEO, Impact X Capital Partners, says, "This vital piece of research, which was carried out with the support of Impact X Capital Partners and Tech Nation, looks at how the color of a founder's skin can adversely affect their access to capital in Britain."
In October 2018, I was invited to attend a roundtable. The government came and they were asking questions about what they could do to increase diversity in the technology sector. And I remember that I was at the roundtable, and the majority of the people at the table were white middle class males. There were a few white females, and then there was just myself and one other woman of colour. She was an Asian lady. And the two of us were there, and every time we raised the point in the meeting, we were sort of spoken over and said, actually, no, what we need is X, Y, Z and P. And so I remember at the time saying, oh, you know, with respect, there isn't anyone that I know from the communities that I'm from that can live on a stipend of £1,000 a month in London and sort of go through an accelerator program in that way. We have other responsibilities. Sometimes we are the only breadwinners in our families and all sorts of other bits and pieces. If you don't have the bank of mum and dad, you're not actually going to be able to start a business in that way. And so I think that lots of the programs that are set up for entrepreneurship are exclusionary right from the off, if you see where I'm coming from. Because if you're giving somebody below London living wage and expecting them to be able to create a business, it's just not going to happen from people who don't come from wealth. And I think that lots of that is missed. And I remember sort of saying that at the table and being told that actually the information that I was providing was anecdotal and that I had no evidence of the case. And I remember leaving the room and I had to go to WPP Stream a week later, which is an unconference that's in Greece. And as I landed in Greece, I spoke to my colleague Tom Adeyula and said, we need to do this research because I'm not going to have anyone say that it's anecdotal when there are all of us who, I mean, Tom's exited his company, he didn't raise VC. There were so many black founders who were unable to raise VC through the years, who had credible, excellent businesses that were performing as they should have been to attract venture, but just couldn't. And so I thought it would be great to shine a light on those companies. And then as the part two to the Extend Ventures report that came out in 2020, understand the amount of profits that they're able to return to their investors as well. Because if we're able to start to show that not only are these businesses there and able to take investment, but that they return profits that are either similar to or greater than their peers, then it kind of puts the onus on the investors to start making different decisions rather than the onus on the companies that are out in the market. So lots of accelerators and initiatives that are currently out there are specifically geared towards fixing black founders or fixing problems, our confidence and our abilities, our skills to run companies. What if we're not deficient? What if we just need the same opportunities?
Since filming this documentary, the UK has felt the effects of the global funding downturn. And as Behost have reported in their equity investment market update of Q1 2023, we are seeing a 37% year-on-year decline in deals completed and a 67% decline in investments deployed compared with the same quarter in 2022. We are waiting to understand how this will further impact black founders who are already making up such small percentages of startups funded during previous years where global funding had reached record levels. Organizations like Fundervine, Color Intech, Black Equity Organization, and YSYS, to name a few, are working closely to support black founders from across the UK with both funding and high-quality programs. The founders we have interviewed are truly inspiring, and we look forward to following the journeys of more founders in the future.
I think that's the end. There we go. Fantastic. Cool. Firstly, thank you so much for putting that together for us, Richard. Really, really cool to you and your team. There's a lot that's come out of that, and we've only got so much time today. The conversation we wanted to have today was around a couple of things. One was how I think there's a level of honesty that does not happen in this space. a lot of investors are not super honest with founders when they say no. Don't give us great reasons as to why they've said no. And then there's also an element of founders needing to be honest with themselves about if they want to go down this VC route in the first place. Erica in the clip was mentioning Tom Adiola, who built and exited a business without VC. So I think that's where I want to start the conversation today. I guess the best place I think to start is on the founder side, with the founder internally. How do you, as a founder, how would you recommend to the founders and with the founders you've worked with, deal with the rejection that will most likely come, that often comes, and deal with the feelings that may come up when you feel that, you know, it's come up for, that the rejection has happened for the wrong reasons? Does that make sense as an initial question? So anyone who'd like to go. Andy, I know you've got thoughts on this, so.
Sure. So how many people here are founders?
A little less than half.
Okay, cool. So when you go and talk to investors, it's basically like a sales job, right? And you're going out, you're pitching, you're doing sales for your company to get capital across. Like if you're selling TV screens or whatever, you call a bunch of people, they say no all the time, and that's normal. Then you get a small percentage convert, right? And you make your sell. It's the same damn thing, right? And I think we need to, again, I was a founder, right? Like we need to not take anything personally, firstly. Right, we need to remove our egos from the whole process. Actually, matter of fact, look, I'm pitching to investors now for a VC fund, about 10x10, and every time someone takes their time, right, or seems like they're going to say no, or is like I'm in an argument about some crap, right? I'm just like, this person's brain dead, they don't get it. And that's my view on them, right? And that's just like how I approach it. And maybe that's a psychological thing, maybe that's a fact, whatever. But I just think. I don't take it personally, right? I kind of say that and I keep it moving, like immediately, on to the next, right? Straight away. And I think I remember when I was a founder, when I last raised money, I didn't raise, how much were we raising? So I went to raise 400K. This is 2016 or 15 or something, I can't remember. And I got my first yes at meeting 62 or 63. And then by the time I got to meeting 70-something, 74 or something, not only did I have the 400K and I had just almost double that, 780 something K in, right? And it all came in the next 10 meetings. There was 1 or 2 no's in there still, but the rest just came. And I did go back to some of the old people as well and go, oh yeah, we've got some money now, because people are just sheepish anyway, right? But again, so the old people, interestingly, because I didn't take it personally, I could go back to them and go, yo, we've got some capital in now. How are you feeling about it? Like, want to talk to you about this again? And they were like, oh, we feel more confident now that other people are in, because I can't make independent decisions, fundamentally. So I think my advice is just never take it personally. And on the be honest side of things, I think I say all the time I get sent a lot of founders by other founders, and that's fine. But when sometimes founders aren't ready, right? I'll talk to a founder I've been introduced to, and I'll be like, oh, this founder sucks. And then, but they're with me, so it's fine if they're black, right? It's a safe space, it's all good. And then I'll go back to the person who introduced me, and I'm like, yo, you said this person's great. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, I think they suck. They weren't ready. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're right, whatever. And I'm like, that's dumb, because had you sent them to someone else, you would have blown the opportunity. So I think it's about you as founders as well, just being honest with each other and helping each other progress that way.
How, on that point, and I'd love to get all three of your thoughts on this, how does a founder know when they are in a great position, they're ready to raise from VC, when they're doing great? In other words, you can look at a deck and know, is this person ready or not? Is this great or not? How can someone be self-reflective when they're in love with their idea, they've been working on it for ages or whatever, and really be honest with themselves in that conversation? And also if VC is right for them as well in that conversation.
Yeah, I think the start of the conversation is VC the route that they want to even go down, right? So we speak about VC as being like the sexy, attractive, method, constantly about raising money all the time. As we spoke about, with other, successful founders that are out there, they're running, say, some boring companies. They don't always raise, right? Bootstrapping to a certain point. Friends and family rounds within our communities aren't always, achievable, because obviously we don't come from that level of money and capital. But I think sometimes just like looking out, I'm an angel, for example, and I've got a lot of angels in my network, and that might be the route where, strategic angels that are value add, or some syndicates actually that can actually add value to your business as well, is another route. So that constant question I think that a lot of founders need to ask themselves, is VC even the route that they want to go down? Because it's a long, exhaustive route, especially now in the downturn that we're experiencing. It can really shoot down a founder's confidence. to going through rounds and rounds of just kind of like constantly pitching. They need to start, ground zero. Is VC the route that they want to go down? If it's not, look at the alternative methods of funding that are out there as well.
100%, I agree with that. From my experience, because I was working at TechNation, so for over 4 years, I helped over 100 founders. Specifically, like 100% of founders, I helped 65 companies go from like pre-seed to past Series A. The one thing that I would say, if you are going for venture capital, the key things that I would look out if you're building something is team. Are you the right person building it? Who's in your team? Do you have the special, expertise to actually, fulfill that and scale it up? And then B, the vision. What's the bigger vision, right? Because especially with venture capital, you're looking for the bigger markets, and that needs a bigger, grander vision compared to something smaller. So yes, maybe you're building a e-grocery store, for example. That's just the top of my head. But how big can it be? And then what other verticals can you actually expand it? And then R, which is the most important, are you actually making revenue? Because at the end of the day, if you're not making the money, you're not a business, you're a hobby. Simple as that.
Any thoughts you want to add?
I just think we're all going to probably start with angel investors when we're building our companies anyway, right? And I think you just have to know what to ask. So when you meet someone, you want to ask, so we do angel stuff, right? You want to ask what our expected return is. We have a company in common, at least one, and they're a high growth business, right? In Audio Mob. And that the aim of that business is unicorn, decacorn, $10 billion status, right? Minimum, for like our vision on it. And I think but if you ask me, every single time someone approaches me as an angel, I've got a bad lens. All I want to see, I'm not in it to double triple my money, which is a very safe and like simple thing to do sometimes, right? I'm like, I'm stupidly high risk. I want to 100x my money. And if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. But that's my appetite, that's my risk. So you have to understand that as well. So if you can 100x my capital potentially, then yes, like, I'm the one for you. But you need to ask the angels themselves as well, what's your expectation of what do you want from your money, right? And if it's to double, triple it, then you may not be the business for them, or you may be the business for them, right? If someone, for example, I pitched some guy who wanted to invest in my fund. He reached out to me. He was like, I want to get my money out in like 3 years. I was like, no, it's a 10-year play. And he was like, but maybe I could stretch at 4 or 5. And I was like, this isn't for you, because I'm just not going to fulfill that for him, right? And that's normal as well, and that's standard.
I feel like there's I've spoken to, working with all our founders at Color and Tech and some of the businesses that support them as well. I think I've noticed this recurring piece of like, if VC is right for you, or if it isn't, you need to be able to ask yourself and ask others the right questions to figure it out. I think as founders, it's so easy to get into, this is what I'm doing right now, and you're so into it, you're focused on building. At every stage, asking everyone all the questions you can, learning from the VCs and the angels you speak to, learn from team, learn from everyone about what you're doing, if it's right. And on the VC point, there's a story that I want to share. A founder who's gone and sold businesses in our network was saying, he knows people building billion-dollar companies who are paying themselves basically nothing. And he knows people who don't have anything that's VC backable, making 1 to 2 mil a year. That's the reality of a VC-backed business, is you're not probably going to make your money, and so you sold it at that return that Andy's talking about. So really analyzing what you really, really want. So I think off the back of that, if this is all the kind of information that maybe doesn't get shared very often, right? And Erica in the clip made a point that like, there's education out there. There's a lot of education out there. I'm wondering now if that education, so by that I mean accelerator programs, things like what we run at Color and Tech, but lots of things that are out there as well, if they're doing the right things and achieving the right things, or giving what founders really, really need. In other words, where are founders getting their information, and is that information good information? Do you feel like the ecosystem needs to level up how it supports underrepresented founders?
No, 100%, and I think it's a different time, right? So when I entered the ecosystem 6 years ago, it was very like fragmented already, and there was not that many communities. And I applaud Richard because I remember Google for Startups had the PocTech events that you can find community and build from it. But right now, again, there's so much information. I would say like check out like LinkedIn posts, follow people on the stage right now. We're always posting about communities and like opportunities for the founders. And then also just want to like highlight that not all opportunities also you don't need to be in London to get opportunities. There's a massive ecosystem up in Manchester, Leeds, Bristol. So there's always a spread of like places where if it doesn't work for you here, you can go to other places to find a community to grow and get the kind of special advice. I would say also on top of that, like with the accelerator programs, be aware of like why you're going on an accelerator, what benefit are you going through it. So things that I did at Technation, I'm always like, when I was doing the onboarding for founders, is ask them specifically like, what do you want from me? And then if it fits the criteria, so our program provided access to capital, commercial opportunities, network. If it fit that criteria, then yes, come on. If not, actually focus on your business and get to the next milestone. That's the best advice. Do not ever like fall into this like merry-go-round of going and collecting them all, because at the end of the day, an accelerator can't scale your business. You can.
Love it. Any thoughts, Adi?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize the power of the community. Like Andy mentioned in the documentary, kind of like Black founders, if you're a sole founder, you kind of like feel like you're alone in your your problems, and you might be going some of the wrong routes. It's just about asking those key questions like repeatedly, right? Leverage your network. If your network isn't as expansive as it might or it could be, just expand out of that in terms of like looking at LinkedIn. Feel free to cold email. I love when I receive cold emails on my inbox, about my expertise. Someone's building something related. I might not be investing, but just that value add in terms of making an introduction or just providing that constructive feedback to someone's pitch deck or kind of like an area of their business that they're operating in. Power of the network community is definitely key for sure.
So, and if I may quickly, first, so you need to follow smart people, right? So, for example, on Twitter, I've got on Twitter notifications for Local Globe, Sequoia Capital, Accel, General Catalyst, and USV, a fund in New York. Top 5 performing VC funds. That is only, I get a lot of, there's a lot of great tweets on the TL all the time, right? But I only want to get notifications for those. I want to know what the partners are thinking and reading and what they're sharing, right? And what they're engaging in, and the companies they're investing in and why. And then when they write something up about why they invested, I want to understand those things very deeply, very quickly, right? I just want to follow smart people. Step away and get away from everyone who's doing like the personal branding as well, right? If there's founders out there doing the personal branding, there's not enough focus on their business, right? So, and you want to see the stage they're at. If they're doing a personal branding and they've sold their companies, okay. But I've got a friend, Tim, he sold something called Fanbats last year. It wasn't even a startup, it was an agency. He's doing some personal brand stuff now, a bit of like what to do next, whatever. He's doing personal brand, why not? He's got some knowledge, he's got a great experience, sold a company for tens of millions, okay, right? But I think there's that, and then also, I've got this email I send out to people all the time. We've just got the podcasts, books, articles, and newsletters and stuff I read and subscribe to and stuff I listen to. If you want after, just hit me up or just DM me and I'll just send you the email. DM me your email address. I'll send you the email as well. And Rich is right. Like people just DM all the time. If you just DM and ask a question, people all the time DM and go, hey, I would love to pick your brain, or hey, I'd love to chat to you about my business. I'm like, what do you want to chat about? Like, what about your business? Just ask a question in the actual DM. And trust me, that's a relationship. And I know you want to meet people and all that stuff, but just get to the point. That's way more valuable for yourself and another person as well.
Okay, cool. In just a minute, we're going to take audience questions with our remaining time. So if anyone has questions, please have them ready. We're going to have a roving microphone come around. I've got one more quick question. Andy, what you've just done is you've given us something really, really practical. And Richard and Abby, I want to get some practical stuff out of you as well. Thinking about community, thinking about education, going into the community in the local area, as you mentioned. Let's get really practical about how to learn from those people. How do you ask a great question? What are the great questions to ask? Who are you looking for? Andy just said smart people. How do you identify a smart person that you really want to be following? Does that make sense? I think we can give out this high-level advice is a nice starting place, but let's get super practical for everyone.
Yeah, sure. For me, I think, I can probably relate it to, obviously, I'm on this panel as a exec film producer, and kind of like that was an area that I was delving into, right? I didn't know nothing about film. I worked in tech for 15 plus years. I'm coming into the film industry. You have to be intentional about what you want, right? So when I'm messaging other directors that have been doing this for 30 years plus, I need to make sure that in the first couple of sentences that I'm messaging in DM, on LinkedIn, or Twitter, wherever it might be, what is I'm doing, who am I, what do I want from that person? That's what they want. They don't want, some fluffy intros, et cetera, et cetera. And I identify them people by just like looking at related, content strands that are out there already. So related films, again, translating that back to tech. What are you building? Is there someone that's, been in e-commerce for the last 30 years, they've been there, seen it and done it? How do you target that person? You know, there's so much sources of information out there right now. There's more than there's ever been, right? There's a lot overload even of information than there was, 10, 15 years ago, etc. in terms of, reaching out and expanding your network and really connecting with people. But for me, it's just intentional. Make sure you've got your business in order. You know what you are, what you want to do, and where you want to go. Great to have some sort of branding, web presence, simple web page. Don't have to sell your idea, being overly sensitive about giving your ideas away either as well. And just being transparent about what you want and just, asking that question. And I got a lot of introductions to, really well-established directors that are out there, and they were more than willing to speak and offer me 15 minutes of their time.
Find the right people, do your research, and then well thought out outreach. Abby?
Yeah, I think everyone said what I was going to say, to be honest with you. So a couple of things that I would recommend, if you're looking for investor, I love ShipShape VC. It's like a search engine. You're able to search investors, and you're also able to see their portfolio, who they're invested in, so that's really cool. Another thing that I love using is Bridge app. It allows you to actually find the mutual. So for example, if you're looking for a person and you're like, okay, that person is a person I can connect to, and with cold email sometimes it doesn't work. Bridge allows you to find the mutual and allows us to do the connection for you, but also saves us time. So one thing that I hate doing is warm intros for people. I'm not gonna lie, I do them because I really want to help people, but at the same time I can't sit there and think why and write about your business. I'd rather you provide me that text and a blurb, and I can send that across to people. So that's the things I want to recommend.
Absolutely. Cool, thank you for that. We've now got about 5 minutes for audience questions. We should have a roving mic somewhere. We have 2 in the front. Where is the roving mic? Ah, fantastic. It's coming from.
Hiya, thank you guys for being here and sharing your insights. And thank you, Richard, for the video. It was helpful. I met Andy this summer at one event. So my question is for myself. I'm a founder. Recently started my business. I'm in the
So what's your name in your business?
Sorry, my name is Nicole, and my business is Yuzuri Tribe. It's a beauty app that leverages AI to give users recommended product selections. So I'm in the MVP stage right now, and I'm looking to do the beta launch in the next couple of months. So my question is maybe more for Abby, because you've done the whole the pathways. I'm asking also what is the pathway for the founders? I'm in the MVP stage now, so what's next? And then what's next and what's next? And how do I get to the VC stage?
100%. One thing that you need to do is launch it, and then once you get the customer feedback and actual proof that there is an actual demand, do not worry about the tech at all. Right now, you can be as scrappy as possible, because there's no point of building an infrastructure, because you need to just tear that down anyways when you get loads of users. So prove that point. Once you get that proof, then try to figure out who potentially would be interested in this vertical. Start making a list, still grow it and see how the users are. So the users are really important, your end users. And then eventually, once you get angel investing, then you're able to scale, grow your team. Then the next stage is probably getting seed funding, and then it's up to you as a person. Would you want to go for venture capital? Or what you can do is, one thing that I love about Tom, so I get to work with Tom and Erica all the time, and they're always giving me loads of good free advice. Venture capital is not the only route to scale to actually make you money. So you can also decide maybe, I want to use debt to fund my business. A great VC that does that, they're not VC, but they VC-ish, it's called Upside Down. They do a flexi kind of round for you. Or you can maybe do grants. So Innovate UK, they provide loads of free money. They always got opportunities up for you to bid for and stuff like that. So once you get to that point, then we can have a conversation, because then I can point you in the right direction. I hope that helped.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Jasmine. I am a founder. My business is called Hoyle Hair Care, and it's focused primarily on hair care at the moment. My question is, as a founder, how can you identify if somebody is offering you a fair investment and make sure that you aren't being taken advantage of?
Who wants to take that one?
The amount of money you need is just, talk to other founders, just ask other founders. But generally, rule of thumb is you need money for 18 to 24 months if you're going to take an external capital, and that should only be 10 to 15% of your business. That's it, max.
Thank you.
time for one more really quick one. We've got one in the back or in the middle.
Hello. Hey, I'm Shafi. I'm also a founder. I started a company called Watch These Spaces. So we're trying to disrupt the out-of-home advertising space. So like billboards and bus stops, etc. Super expensive, super slow. So we create a platform which enables businesses with high footfall to rent their wall space to advertisers. So like Airbnb for physical ads. We've launched, we've got some traction. So we're in like 15 to 20 stores at East Central London, like Shoreditch, Dalston, etc. And run some ads for like Otter and a few other campaigns. The reason I started this question with I'm a part-time founder, so we're starting to look, building our pitch deck, looking for investment. But what does that look like without having actually quit your full-time job? And what has to go first? Like almost like go full-time and show that commitment to get that investment? Or can we look to raise seed funding? We've kind of proven the revenue model and we're slowly growing through word of mouth, but yeah, just...
Yeah, good to meet you. Actually, I'm in the same space as you, so it could be to speak to you. I'm in ad tech as well. So some of the good, successful founders that I've worked with or advised have been in their full-time jobs up to a point. So once they've got that proof of concept, they're bringing revenue in. I never recommend taking that big leap of faith. It depends what the business is. Obviously, some people might have different in opinion. I prefer to see kind of like founder continuing self-sustainability in terms of, still have your full-time job, bringing your income in, being sustainable up until the point where you know that there's enough of a run rate that from the money that you're making out of your business that then you can then take that leap of faith. As an investor, selfishly, I do like to see a founder raise that capital and actually work on that business full time. So I won't actually invest in the business unless if I know that founder's actually raising full time. But there is a pivot point between you leaving your job, having enough money, run rate, and then jumping on full time.
So 10 seconds, because we're out of time. You can definitely be part-time and raise money for your business. I think we kind of sit on the same side of this, right? Ideally, yeah, you're full-time, more commitment, blah, blah, blah. But listen, not everyone can afford to go full-time, right? As a matter of fact, I tell like black founders especially, you want to have, before you make the leap, you want to have 9 months of personal runway. That's 6 months of, like, you can just go for your personal cash if you make 0 revenue, and then 3 months to go get another job or get something sustainable that's going to enable you to, like, not, like, die in the real world, right? So, yeah, you can raise money when being in your job. That's absolutely fine. I think we didn't even get that idea away because, yeah, just because a lot of people don't have access to external capital. Majority of people, like, especially from diverse backgrounds or black backgrounds, do not have access to, today at least, to external capital. Yes, that's fine. And yeah, and we're in ad tech, right? So especially Richard, we share a company in the space as well. So happy to chat.
Yeah, we need to wrap up, but a final thought there is like when you're going out and doing your pitching and speaking to investors, they'll all tell you different things. They've all got their own opinions and they'll input their opinions. So you might get some saying the opposite of what Richard and Andy have just said.
Yeah, and the only thing that matters is the data, though, right? You come to us and say you're part-time. Come to us and say I'm going to stay in my full-time job, but I've even got this thing that's like growing like this and doing really, really, really well. We're going to give you money anyway, right? So yeah, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Have data and do what's right for you. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Can we get a big round of applause for our panel, please?